Today we're going to be talking about bracing your cores and the incorrect ways in doing this. The core is extremely important for every movement in your life, and even more important when you're exercising, as you are placing extra stress on your core and back. Your core is also responsible for protecting your back, so a weak core equals a weak lower back, as they are opposing muscle groups. This recti, something that anybody can get when you are bracing your core incorrectly. For many years I did this way before pregnancy, and I never even realised, no one had said to me, I just realised push-ups and things were harder. In planks my bum would slightly dip, and it wasn't necessarily the sign of a weak core because my core was strong and my back was strong, but I basically was not engaging the abdominal muscles correctly. So you've got 6 abdominal muscles. So you've got your external obliques, your internal obliques, your rectus abdominis, which is also known as the 6-pack, your transverse abdominis, which acts like a corset and brings everything in, it assists in breathing. You've also got the pelvic floor muscles, the diaphragm, and the quadratus lumborum. So all these muscles assist in breathing and create intra-abdominal pressure. So when you're picking up a heavy weight, like either when you're deadlifting or you're coughing, or you're lifting a big heavy box, the intra-abdominal pressure can help you. Intra-abdominal pressure is something that can really help us through these movements. So a lot of people after pregnancy suffer with diastasis recti, or diastasis recti, however you say it. Everybody's different apparently. So the incorrect way to tense. Okay, so you've got my stomach muscles here. Now when I sit up, naturally since pregnancy I have an overactive abdominis. So I don't know if you can see, so when I stand up, this part of my stomach domes. I'm going to insert a video clip so you'll be able to see it from this perspective as well. So from the side, so I'm standing up or leaning back, you can see it doming slightly. This is because I have under firing obliques, internal and external obliques. You can't really see my obliques, I've been working on them, but this is all part of my postpartum journey.
Here's my stomach, nice and relaxed. Now I can tense as I'm getting up, like this. You see that coming out, that doming here? That's what we don't want. The rectus abdominis. See that? So what we do want is to engage the sides of our stomach. Push everything in, so here's tight as well.
Now the problem with an overfiring rectus abdominis is it creates an abnormal amount of pressure within your core, which can result in back problems, knocking you off centre in your pelvic girdle. It can result in injury, make everything so much harder. When you cough you might pee a little bit, or sneeze when you might pee a little bit. It's extremely important that we fix this and we make sure that we are tensing our core properly. So to do this, you have to start off small, and it's all about the mind connecting to the muscle that you're using. So when you are sitting up, you want to make sure here is firm, and the lower parts of the body, because you've got your transverse abdominis that comes just above your pubis bone. You want to make sure here is firm. So during planks it is very possible just to tense here and then you still feel squishy here. You might be slightly doming, and it's also possible to be squishy here and have an underfiring rectus abdominis. So to check if you've got diastasis recti, what you want to do is to be lying down like I was in the previous video that's inserted. And you have here the linea alba. So this is a tendon. So this tendon stretches during pregnancy, which is totally normal. It's a separation of the abdominal muscles. This is what we want during pregnancy. It allows our baby to grow. But what we don't want is it to stay separated after birth. We want to bring that in. Now due to me doming during pregnancy and not really understanding what it was at the time. So I was left with just over 1 finger gap in my rectus abdominis, which they don't really consider this as diastasis recti, but it's like borderline. So it's more important for me to stop overfiring my rectus abdominis, six-pack muscle, and build up and strengthen my obliques, which in turn has strengthened my back and everything, and also my pelvic floor muscles would improve as well with this. To check if you've got diastasis recti, so you want to be lying down like in the position in the previous video, and you want to feel along with your head flat on the floor. As soon as you lift up your head, you will feel the muscles contract. And now if you can get your finger in this gap, it depends as well, it's very important how firm it feels. So mine feels quite firm. So this isn't the correct position to check if you've got it, but I do keep track of it, and I know it feels quite firm now. This is just my ribs, but it's further down, and you can try and check all the way down to your pubis, because that's where that linear elbow goes. Now some women can have 3 fingers, 2 fingers, and it can come down. We can improve the connective tissue and bring the abdominals closer together over time through exercise, but what it all starts with is how you are in your everyday life, because you could be training and you could be picking up a heavy deadlift with great technique, but it's what you're doing for the other 22-23 hours a day. Now if you've got bad posture, or if you're standing up and you're playing with the kids and then you're sitting up and you're doming, or you're not firing all of your abdominal muscles, all 6, then you are going to start getting problems. So some of the ways that we can work on this and help it to improve is through some various exercises. So during the day, it's things like making sure your posture's fine. If you're about to sneeze and you're worried about peeing a little bit, as some women are after pregnancy, to stop this you can stick your bum out as you sneeze, achoo. It's like that, and it should stop, but obviously that's going to give you back problems long term. So we want to really work on what's going on, what is the problem, what is the issue here, and how do we fix it. So to help our intra-abdominal pressure work with us, we need to make sure that we're tensing right during these exercises and squats and things. Now think of your whole abdominals as having a zip attached to them. So first we want to squeeze in, so we squeeze in with our bum like you're trying to hold a wee in. So you squeeze in there, and as you move up you then push your belly button, draw it in and up to your spine. So you're not sucking in like that, but you're more drawing in using the abdominal muscles. Check here that it's firm, and here that it's firm. And then lastly we want to draw our ribs in, and then we want to make sure that we are firing our obliques and they're all firm, and it should look something like that. Press everything, it's firm, and you're also holding in a P, kind of. That's your Kegels, if you've heard of them. So that's the correct way to brace our core. Now it's very hard to maintain if you've got issues. It's very hard to maintain through some certain exercises. So that's why we say, some PTs will say that people with diastasis recti should not do crunches, should not do V-ups, should not do planks, should not do push-ups, anything that's going to either dome or encourage this overfiring of whichever muscle group that you're struggling with. It is simply not true. If you can do that exercise and you can make sure that all your abdominals are working together, all 6, everything's firm and tight, and you'll also feel that your back, your lower back, just above your crest, your iliac crest, so your hips come down here, and if you feel your back and it feels firm, you know that you're firing your obliques as well, so everything's protected. Now if you're able to maintain that during the plank and push-ups and planks and V-ups, that's fine. V-ups, something I struggle with. I'll hold a V-up and I've literally got to watch for my stomach dormant. I need to concentrate mind to muscle that I'm drawing in this part of my stomach, otherwise it just dorms. This is still a recovering process, so I'm 11 months postpartum at the moment. Whereas planks, I'm fine with using my TVA, my transverse abdominis muscle, which is the corset muscle that keeps everything in check and works with breathing and things like that. That fires perfectly during this exercise, but when I'm holding a plank and I decide to do a few push-ups, I can do about 2 before my core starts to give way. It's extremely annoying, and my core just can't take the pressure yet. But that's something that I'm working on. So just writing down or putting in your workouts on the app, whereabouts you struggled, what you've noticed, will help you track your progress excellently. When you keep all of your 6 muscles contracted and that they're working together, and you are holding in a P and everything's tight, you've got the intra-abdominal pressure. Now, the last thing you need to do is breathe deeply and controlled. So this is part of the exercise. This is the exercise. So breathing in, keeping everything tight as long as you can, and just hold and practicing that motion. And you can also practice it in a plank as well, if you can. Now, please don't worry if you have got a 2 or 3 inch gap when you check your linea alba. This can be closed. You can concentrate instead on retraining the muscles to work together, and then eventually when you do lose body fat and you are starting to look more toned here, you'll still have your abs, you'll still be able to use them, but you'll just have a wider linea alba. I don't know if you've seen people with that. Actually, a Liverpool player, my partner's a Liverpool supporter, and he showed me Mohamed Salah. He is absolutely shredded, that guy is awesome, but it does look like he's got a bit of diastasis recti. Now, he is obviously very strong in the core, but he's obviously had issues in the past, and there's like a 2 centimetre gap there. It looks like that anyway. It's extremely deep as well. Obviously he's a football player, he's very strong now, but back in the past he's likely had issues there. So the next exercise to work on our core and our obliques, and to really trim in the obliques as well, is creating a vacuum with our intra-abdominal pressure. So again, I'm going to hold in a P, I'm going to bring everything up and keep everything tight, breathe in and breathe out. So everything's tight, and as I do this, I'm going to rotate left to right. Very hard to do. So what this is doing is strengthening the obliques and having everything fire together. So if you'd like this added to your program, just let me know. It's not a problem, but please consider going forward, are you bracing everything correctly? Are all your abdominals working together? Because when we do build muscle, it's through using the mind and the muscle and that connection. So there's been a study done within the last few years where 2 separate groups of athletes were under an experiment where one lot of athletes would train and just like normal, and I think they were both given placebos or something like that for high performance and muscle tone and things like that. Anyway, the first group would train like normal for 2 weeks, a month say, and the second group would not be allowed to train at all, but think about training and even think about the stimulus and for example the bicep curl, thinking about the bicep tensing and the burn and the feel and everything that they would feel during that exercise. And they would do that for everything, their whole training. So for a deadlift, they would imagine how it feels on different parts of the body. So after the trial period was over, I think it was 2 week, 3 week long period, they tested their muscle tone and their strength and endurance and things, and the group that didn't train and imagined training and thought about the stimulus and imagined it, that group matched the group that had been training for the 2 or 3 weeks. So this concluded how important the brain is in training. So thinking about your muscles contracting and concentrating on that, and when you're doing a bench press, for example, and you're wanting to target your chest muscles, because it is very easy to target your pectoral minor instead of your chest. So as you're coming up and you're squeezing those muscles and you're coming back down again, you're just thinking about the movement and where you're wanting to contract, because it's very easy. Another one, for example, is when you are squatting. I'm going slightly off point here, but when you are squatting, it's so easy. Everyone says squat to build an ass, don't they? But what they don't tell you is you need to think about tensing the bum as you go up, because I used to tense the quads and the hamstrings. It's so easy to do. I used to come down in a squat, and my thighs would be burning or whatever, say 20 squats, and coming up. But when I thought about coming down and using my bum and over-exaggerating that squeeze and using it to push myself back up, that is when I gained strength, when I gained muscle in my bum and I got more of a shape. And yeah, that's when I really improved on my squats. So it's really important thinking about which muscle group you're trying to tense and working with the brain. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful for those postnatal ladies, postpartum ladies even. Drop me a line if you've got any more questions. I'll get back to you. Bye.